When it comes to marriage, I think too many of us make a decision to get married without thinking about what commitment actually means. So you find that when you say the vows, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, through sickness and in health, I don't think many people think through what those vows actually mean. Because when you really think deep and you try to understand what better or worse, richer or poorer actually means, it's deep. It's a covenant. You are committing to be with someone who is going to be with you for life. And whatever challenges that you face in that life, you're supposed to face those challenges together. So when you see divorces taking place, some things have taken place within the marriage that makes someone uncomfortable to the point where they feel that they need to exit the relationship. But what happens when two people who've lived their entire lives separately come together? There will be definitely a knocking of heads, because you've been used to certain things, you've been building certain habits as an individual. Now you're coming together with another person to live an entire life. It will be difficult. So if you prepare your mind that it is going to be difficult with this individual, and you're going to have to work through some difficult situations about full disclosure, about, highlighting negative aspects about each other as a couple, then you start learning certain skills to be able to help you to survive during that period where the teething issues are taking place. In our marriage with my wife, Cecilia, we spent the better part of, say, the first 10 years just bickering and fighting about both small, medium, and big things. But the revelation after so many years of challenges is that if we're all in it for the same reason, which is just primarily serving each other, loving each other, building a family, committing to God, and working through issues together as life partners, then we just now need to start understanding ourselves. And I wrote an article the other time that was talking about one of the major causes of divorce is actually not all these other things that people talk about, infidelity, money, and all that. It primarily comes from the inability to communicate with each other in a way that brings a level of understanding. Because when you talk to divorce lawyers, you start to understand that couples who loved each other can no longer talk to each other. This tells you that there has been a communication breakdown that has caused these two people to start not looking at each other as people who are doing and working through the same plan together. And that's where the problem starts. We all need to manage our expectations when we get into marriages, and then we need to be committed. Because if there is no commitment, I'm always having this debate with my friends that if someone has a prenup agreement, which is a prenuptial agreement, they are already foretelling that there is a high possibility that there can be a breakup. So as you are going through the relationship, you are already keeping the exit door open. But when you go into the marriage with a full commitment, you are saying, come what may, I'm going to find a way to work things out. Come what may, I'm going to love my wife, I'm going to love my husband in a way that supersedes what I'm feeling in the flesh. And I think that's what changes the game, when you're able to commit to your partner fully. And in those times where you're feeling uncomfortable, in those times where you're not feeling happy, you still love your partner. You still care for your partner. You still become empathetic to your partner's challenges. Because remember, we are all imperfect and we've all gone through so many different challenges as individuals. So having a level of understanding of what those things are and building yourselves up as a couple and saying to yourselves that, honey, I'm going to be there for you no matter what you're going through, no matter if you get a job loss, even if you get made, face challenges within your workplace, or you face challenges in life, or you're going through a depression or a period of time where things are not really working out for you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm not going to be the first person that opens the door and runs away. I believe in that full commitment. I believe that the more we're able to put ourselves in a position where we are fully committed to each other, we are serving each other, then it becomes very, very easy to have a fulfilling marriage. At a time, I thought my marriage was not fulfilling because the bickering, the fighting is never pleasant. But when we started talking, when we started being vulnerable, when I started being vulnerable as a man, because it was very difficult for me to be vulnerable because I felt I had to take care of everything, I had to do everything myself, I didn't have to disclose anything, and it wasn't the right foundation that you need in a married environment. Marriage is about openness. Marriage is about transparency. Marriage is about creating a safe space for each other. The man needs to come home and feel safe. The woman needs to be coming home and feeling safe as well. The children need to feel safe in that environment. As couples, the more time we spend trying to understand ourselves and trying to understand how we can communicate openly, honestly, without disrespect and without showing a bitterness or a resentment in the things that we're doing, then you start seeing that we start having meaningful conversations that help to build us up in a proper way that can be able to cement a solid foundation for your marriage. So I would say that marriage is a beautiful thing. It has been painted as something where people are always fighting and bickering, but a big part of that comes from misalignment of priorities, not being able to understand each other in a communication platform, and then primarily the expectations of the husband and the wife not being very clear to each other, and hence a miscommunication and a problem that starts coming up because two people are on different pages. So I would encourage all couples to have deep conversations about what exactly their marriage entails, what their expectations are within the marriage, and how they can be able to help each other in the various areas where they have their weaknesses, and capitalize on your strengths so that both of you start becoming a unit, a unified unit, with the third chord being God, building yourselves up in a capacity where you're both walking towards God in your imperfection and by God's grace, and building a long-lasting marriage.